Good morning, Lawrence, and welcome back to the program. So just so everybody know, Ali has a crazy schedule. He was attending a conference in the south of France this afternoon, getting in the plane on his way to Chile for the next race tomorrow and changing flights in Madrid. So Ali, thank you so much for being with us today. We heard great words from Chip Ganassi about what a great job you do. Chip opened the first session this morning and said very nice thing about you and Alejandro and Extreme. So Lawrence, we'll leave Ali with you.
Well, good morning, Ali, and welcome back to race week.
Well, listen, thank you very much. Can you hear me okay? Is all the tech working?
We can hear you okay. Madrid is functioning. No worries there. So
yeah,
a good point.
I'm actually at Nice at the moment, just going to Madrid to Santiago to Calama. So our next race is in the middle of the Atacama Desert, and it's one of the driest places on earth. And of course, sustainability is a core topic that gets talked about in these hotspots. So what we're doing is we're ultimately using racing to tell a much broader story, and a story about climate change, but innovation. So anyways, thank you very much for fitting me in. And that was very nice of Chip Ganassi to say nice things about me. I'll have to ensure I buy him a nice glass of wine next time we meet.
Well, on to Chile then. I mean, a lot of our championships that we've covered this week obviously have finished. You've got the season 3 finale there. Not only is it a 5-way shootout, including Chip's team, maybe mathematically, but Chip can still do it. But just tell us a little bit, because to me, the Antofagasta, the venue, sort of sums up really the bigger picture of Extreme E, a mining centre that is basically reinventing itself in terms of sustainability. So let's use that as a sort of a lead into, the mission for Extreme E.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely great to have the quality of teams and drivers involved in the championship. And when you look at, the greats of racing, people like Carlos Sainz, people like Lewis Hamilton, Jenson Button, Nico Rosberg, McLaren, Chip Ganassi, Michael Andretti, there's some new names as well, and I have to say, the likes of Veloce, who are an esports business that are probably one of they probably are the biggest esports organization for driving and for gamification of driving. And that's the new sort of thinking that we've got, is we've tried to create a proposition which is repositioned from a social way, but also repositioned from a format to get a much younger audience. And that, I think, is we call ourselves the sort of 2020 of, for those of you that know cricket, the 2020 version of motorsports, short form for shorter attention spans, but also with the brands from IndyCar, NASCAR, Formula One, Apt from DTM, and Formula E, and World Rally and World Rallycross. So we bring in a lot of these household names, and we reposition it and reformat it in such a way where it can be consumed by a much younger and a much more diverse audience.
I guess as well, with Extreme E, that hasn't been a shift. That has been something from the outset, where doing things differently, being prepared to change, being ahead of the curve, and really that takes us on to a huge opportunity and a huge change that is coming for Extreme E, and that is the impending switch from all electric to hydrogen.
Yeah, we couldn't be more excited, and I think hydrogen is we talk about e-mobility solutions, and electric is definitely one format, but we believe that hydrogen is as well, as part of a portfolio of clean energy solutions for transport. And when you think about transport being anything from a third to sort of 30% of global emissions, it's super important that we find solutions that enable us to decarbonize. And what we want to do is we want to, and what we are doing, and what we're going to continue to do, and we're going to accelerate, is using racing and the competition from racing to really innovate far quicker and accelerate the adoption of new technology. And I think hydrogen is really interesting because it reminds me of my early days at Formula E, when I don't know if you remember, but when we started, we had 2 cars and 1 driver.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the race, one driver got out of one car and jumped into another because the car couldn't last the race. And, we always get asked about, where would we be now if we hadn't started the racing series? Because within 3 years, we were able to get regeneration to a point. I think it's late 90s, 98, 99% efficiency now in terms of regen. And we were also able to work with the likes of Lucid on battery technology and Williams Advanced Engineering to, create better energy density in the batteries. And so we didn't need the 2 cars; we could go to 1 car. And that's in my own lifetime in the last 10 years of how racing visibly for me. And you go back further, you've got fuel injection, traction control, carbon fiber, all have come from motorsport. So what we want to do is we really want to focus around hydrogen, and it was amazing. On Friday, I was able to see our new car testing, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful to watch. And this is a chassis of a car driving around, so it doesn't have a racing silhouette and a shape on yet. But the point is we're ahead of schedule, which is great. The testing's going incredibly well, and this is with I would say a Generation 2 Extreme E car, which has this hydrogen fuel cell adaptation, which is incredibly exciting for us. So I couldn't be more excited. And what we're having to do is to get out to the world and let people know that we're moving hydrogen. We're our hydrogen series together with FIA, and have the opportunity to be a world championship in 2026. So it's super, super exciting in terms of the development. And I know H24 is making some progress, but we really want to focus on being the first, and doing that from 2025. So the car, as I say, is testing now. We're going to be doing more testing next year alongside Extreme E, and gives fans the opportunity to see a new technology being tested, being developed by some of the best teams and drivers in the world.
So next year the car will run at some Extreme E events as we get the transition between electric and into hydrogen. And Ali, as you point out as well, there is a path to world championship status for Extreme E, for Extreme Hydrogen, which to me sort of says that this really does lock in with the FIA and its plans for sustainability and focusing on sustainable fuels. Has this been a partnership from the start with the FIA, the hydrogen project?
Yeah, so just to take you through it, we've always had a very, very close relationship with FIA. So we started Formula E together, and really we couldn't have done this without the FIA. We've been an international series. I think where we are is we see the value from a closer relationship, from developing the technical roadmap, but also the safety roadmap. The perception of hydrogen, and I always laugh at this because everyone says education is in pieces, but every meeting I go to, people talk about the explosive nature of hydrogen and the Hindenburg. So I think actually education systems doing incredibly well. But I think what we've got to do is we've got to develop a championship which shows that hydrogen is possible, shows that it is safe, and excites people. If you excite people and you create passion, you create belief, we can build a whole industry out of this. And that's this sort of embryo of the idea is we're growing, we're developing, and we're going to accelerate this. And that's what makes this so exciting. And our racing format really suits the hydrogen format. So you know, we're super excited, and as I say, this isn't as risky as the past two championships we've developed from scratch. You know, whether it's Formula E from day one. This is a evolution, not a revolution, and you know, so what it allows us is a lot more consistency in terms of moving forward, and we really like that.
Another extreme E tenet is obviously equality. Just talk us through. Well, basically, from the start, it has been a level playing field. This is female racers, male racers, basically racing against each other. Everybody can win, everybody can lose. The pressure is on them equally. How has that sort of progressed now into season 3? And also, just talk to us as well about, for instance, the Racing for All project as well, sort of taking that quest for equality beyond just the men and the women in the driving seats.
Yeah, well, I have to say we're absolutely passionate about this, and you know, as someone who's had a background in a multitude of Olympic sports, football, rugby, you know, when I got into motorsport, I've always thought the big opportunity of motorsport is the equality opportunity, because men and women can drive cars and drive cars equally as well. The challenge I think we've had is we haven't inspired enough young girls to get involved in motorsport, and so what happens is you're really targeting 50% of the population, and our view is, why not target 100% of the population? You know, sponsors, car manufacturers, they all want to be in a situation where that they're targeting as big an audience as possible, and the female voice is as strong, if not stronger, than the male voice in a lot of these purchases. So what we've done here is we've created a format which is almost like a tag team. So, you know, you have one car, you have two drivers. Each of the drivers has equal amount of time in the car. So we switch halfway through, and if the man starts the first race and then the woman does the second lap, then for the next round of racing, it's reversed, and so on. So teams work out who's going to be in the final. Do they want their male driver or their female driver? But what I really like about it is it's super fair, and it means that we have men and women on the top podium, we have men and women on the bottom podium, and it's just like life. You know, I just think it's normal, and the paddock is so much nicer. It's just really, really normal. And what I love to see is the improvement in the female drivers, and I think that's down to two things. You know, when we started, there was quite a differential between the male drivers and the female drivers. That's reduced very, very quickly, and in some sectors, the women are beating the men, which I think is real progress, and that's because we've given female drivers access to cars and high performance vehicles, and a series that has equality at its heart. And the second thing is their teammates. When you've got Carlos Sainz or Sebastian Loeb or Christopherson as your teammate, they can't win if you're not performing. So they spend a lot of time coaching, training, developing their female teammates, and that's just wonderful. And as I say, we're getting progress, we're getting improvements, and you know, I think our female drivers work so bloody hard, and they are getting out into the community. They're doing a huge number of community engagements and inspiring that next generation of girls to dream about being a driver. And you know, I think that's where it's going to come from. Is you know, the cream will come to the top, and it's a volume game. So the more drivers we get in at the bottom, the better drivers we're going to have at the pinnacle of the sport. So I think that's been incredible from our point of view, and something that we feel absolutely passionate about. The second aspect to your question was Racing for All. And that's really about Lewis Hamilton and the Hamilton Commission did a big report into diversity across motorsport. And, you know, I think he's been driving for 20-25 years now. And there's just a lack of Black and Asian and people of color within motorsports. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to use that information to see how we can make a difference and to create real opportunity within motorsport. And so we've created a scheme called Racing for All, which is about bringing people with less than 9 months experience into the sport. We've only got 5 engineers and mechanics, so to have an extra pair of hands is a huge advantage. The teams are really incentivized to get involved in the scheme, and what we're doing is we're bringing and we're changing the paddock, and you're seeing female mechanics and female engineers, and the teams are buying into it. And what I love about it is we're starting people's careers here, and in 20 years time, hopefully they're running McLaren or running Mercedes or running Ganassi Racing. That's kind of where we would like to get to. But it starts with making a difference, and we've decided to make a difference in our series. Now we've got to build that up, and we've got to help support pathways. But I think the point here is ourselves and our teams have massive ambition to give access, and to give access to all, and to do that in a very tangible way. So it's not about talking about it, it's about doing it, and it's about showing it, and then it's about sharing these sort of experiences. And part of that pathway comes from having these incredible individuals coming back into their communities and talking about the experiences, talking that it's possible, that they can get there, they can work in motorsport, and that it's not something that you've from a UK point of view, that you've got to live in sort of the Oxfordshire Formula One Valley. You can come from Elgin in Scotland, or Iona on the west coast of Scotland, or Penrith or Norfolk or East London. It's about making sure that people understand that it's accessible.
And I think that's always been Extreme E and Formula E is being part of the solution, recognizing the problem, but being part of the solution. And I think that also goes to the legacy programs that Extreme E has started. One thing I was surprised, but in a good way, about was seeing how venues that are no longer, for instance, on the schedule, are still being supported in the legacy program. I saw that there was further legacy program activations, for instance, around Greenland. I mean, is that something that is absolutely core to Extreme E, the making a difference on a bigger picture scale?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we designed the series with a view of how do we create a sport with the lowest possible carbon footprint ourselves. So it's electric, it's charged using hydrogen fuel cells. The only byproduct is deionized water. We're moving more and more of the paddock, and 100% of the paddock next year will be running off hydrogen. So it'll be a zero emissions paddock as well as zero emissions racing. And that for us is incredible to sort of design, develop, and roll out. And what we felt was really important, that is each location that we go to, we ensure that we've got a lasting legacy with the people that live there. And so it's about using the scientific committee to really understand what is the climate issue, where is it desertification, deforestation, melting ice caps, rising sea levels, what's causing it, and what can we do about it? So we try to be optimistic in terms of what can be done, whether that's from a technology focus or pure innovation and working together in collaboration. But going back to Greenland is a really important part, and I'm glad you picked that one out, because the ice cap hasn't stopped melting, and we go back every year. We go back with drivers, we go back with scientists, we go back with a film crew, and what it enables us to do is have a continuity of message, so we can talk about what's going on. We can show it through firsthand athlete eyes, and it's pretty dramatic what's going on in Greenland and how it's changing people's lives there. And these are the people that are very, very small populations, disparate populations that are sort of pockets along the coast, and ultimately they suffer from isolation, because when the ice melts, they can't get from A to B because there is no roads. So actually the freezing of the tundra, so to speak, is super important for them to get on the motorway with their dog sleds and go from A to B villages. So there's a huge instance of alcoholism, high rate of suicide, and a lot of domestic challenges that come from this isolation that they're feeling, because ultimately the freezing in the north has gone from 10 months a year to 8 months a year, and that is massive for people. So what we're able to do is to put context on that story, and connect it with what we're doing and what we're trying to do in terms of accelerating the adoption of e-mobility solutions, and giving people a reason. And that's the point. You've got to push passion points. For people to change behavior, you have to inspire them. And we believe that sport is super important for that inspiration. So we go back every year. We go back to Senegal, we go to the Amazon, we go to Greenland, and we go back to the projects and the communities that we've been in, and we tell their stories and we retell their stories, and we talk about the differences that they've had. So it's so much more than just racing.
Case in point then, Chile this weekend, spectacular location, the Atacama Desert, but also, to your point, giving it meaning and giving it relevance. The copper mines were basically the dirty old men of Chile in the past. They are not only cleaning up their act, but we're beginning to see, how they will sort of fit into the sustainable future. I assume that was absolutely paramount to your decision to where you are racing this weekend.
Yeah, I think there's a massive opportunity with Extreme E. We don't have to go to a track. So what that allows us to do is to democratize racing. So we can go to some of these spectacular locations that you probably only see in National Geographic, and we're able to tell stories. And the story the main story, and we call it the Copper X Pre. And the reason we do is because, for us to decarbonize and move to electric vehicles, we need a lot of precious metals, which means that we need mining. Mining is part of the solution. And I don't think mining's done a particularly good job in the past in terms of presenting itself. So what we talk about is what is happening in terms of the mining industry. How is the mining industry becoming more sustainable? And our host is doing an incredible job in terms of decarbonizing mining, which is not an easy area to get in. And the view is at some point in the future, there'll be a value add for the mining sector where it's more sustainable. And that's what we're looking at, is how can mining be more sustainable? How can the technology that we use in our race cars, how can that be exported into the mining trucks, and what can they do from a electrification, the use of hydrogen, the use of autonomous vehicles? They're moving incredibly quick, and that's good news for us because we really need these precious metals.
So looking at 2024 then, as you pointed out, it's a transitional year. It's the last all-electric season before we go into hydrogen in 2025. What is the calendar looking like? And obviously, this is a leading question for North American fans, saying, when are we getting Extreme E? Yeah. And we're very close to making an announcement, so I couldn't possibly ruin that by announcing it today. But it's super exciting, and I think what you're going to see is a lot more buzz around hydrogen. So as I say, the car is working now. So we're testing the car to around about March, and there'll be opportunities for the teams to do tests alongside Extreme E. So what that means is we will have an integration of H into the championship at the end of the year, and that I think will give a test bed for everyone. So we are working on some incredibly interesting collaborations, and I would say watch this space with a huge amount of interest. The formats aren't going to change. We're still very much looking at some of the most incredible locations on the planet. But we've also got to focus on making sure that we're ready for 2025 in terms of the first hydrogen season. So it's about getting that sort of balance between the two. The cars themselves are being made just south of Paris. Mm-hmm. The fuel cell comes from Lyon. So what we've got to do is just make sure that we've got one eye on the technology and make sure that we're ready to go and entertain people from the beginning of 25. One thing that has come up a couple of times this week is the opportunities, the challenges, the fears of AI. Extreme E you're not scared of doing stuff or introducing stuff. I mean, that's been proven from the start. So just give us your take on AI and how that may, become part of Extreme E.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but we launched a sort of together with RoboRace, a totally autonomous racing series alongside Formula E. So AI is not something that's new to us at all. I think where we're going as an organization, we're looking at the broadcast potential from AI and how that can help us, because there's so many elements to that. At the moment, we have a director, and that director decides which battle he shows on TV. And yet there's over 35 cameras that are filming at any one time. So there's a multitude of different stories. So what AI allows us to do is to give more information, to improve, to continually improve. And actually, at some point in the future, you could have an AI robot director, and we're using a guy called Westbury Gillette. But I think his job will be under threat in the future, because I think the data and in real time data crunching will allow us to really understand where the fights are on the track. And also, I think what it allows us to do is to be more dynamic with the consumer, and allow the consumer to choose their own, let's say, direction of the championship. So what we're looking at is, how do we bespoke this in such a way where we really embrace the technology? It allows us to have a smaller footprint on site, which lowers our carbon footprint. It's cheaper in terms of long term, because we don't need as many people. But I think what it should give us is actually a much, much better product. And that's why we're so excited. And I think it's in our DNA to try technology first, to be an innovator, and to lead the industry. We're after a much younger audience, and I think that's helped with this.
Well, Ali, I see the grown-ups have reappeared.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think our slot is our
They startled me as well.
But yeah, fascinating as ever. Thank you very much, and continue your journey to Chile.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me, all of you. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope you all tune in for the Extreme E finale. 2 races, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. And as we say, we've got five of the 10 teams are in with a shout. So it's gold dust to me in terms of having a championship go down to the final weekend. So super, super excited by that. And, it's, some big names in there.
Thank you, Ali. Safe travel and all the best for this weekend. Thank you very much.
Registering on ePartrade is easy. To start, click on the Join for Free button on the homepage. First, search your company to see if it's already in our database. If you see your company on the list, click on it to select it. Then, choose Claim Company if you are one of the decision makers, an owner, marketing person, or main company contact. Or choose Join Company if you are an employee, and press Continue. If you couldn't find your company in our database, select Register a New Company. On the following page, fill out your name, email, phone number, job title, and choose a secure password. If you chose Register a New Company, you'll need to choose your business type. Select Supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose Racing Business if you're looking to source new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose Race Team if you own or are a member of a professional race team. Then, enter your company name. Please provide a website, Facebook page, or LinkedIn if you have one, and choose to either claim or join the company. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Finally, click Register Now and your registration will be submitted for approval. An email will be sent to your inbox. Please confirm your email address and you will be approved shortly. Welcome to ePartrade.